It in your hands.
Hello and welcome to the second session in our Job Club series. This session is all going to be about how to shop. So on today's agenda, what we're going to do is just do a brief overview of the session and a mini icebreaker. So we are going to ask for your participation just for a little bit, just for you to state your name and then one thing that you hope to get out of the session. Then we're going to get straight into the presentation and some sample exercises. And then we're going to share some resources as far as Next Job and how we're partnering with them and some additional next steps that we offer. So I guess I will start with the icebreaker. My name is Mariah Lawson McLean. I am a AmeriCorps service member, serving as the Economic Mobility Coordinator here at Communities First, Inc. In my role, I am basically a program planner. I do a lot of work in research within financial literacy and try to find the most effective and best ways for us to kind of push our mission of economic development out to the community. And one thing I hope to get out of this session is just for one person at least to be able to know how to find those jobs, where to look, maybe digest a few of the stats as far as employment out there. I think we're fed a lot of information as far as unemployment rates and who's looking for what, or are people actually doing the work to find that next position. So my goal is just for one person just to pick up something useful so then they can hop into their next career field. So whoever wants to go next.
My name is Linda Hopkins, and I am a family engagement facilitator for Flint Community Schools. I am looking for an opportunity to remake myself, to better myself, to improve, to grow, and to be able to position myself so that I can help others better.
I think that's really good. We need those advocates in the community because a lot of people really just don't know where to go. They don't know who's out there, what resources are out there, where to look for them, where to even start. So it's important that we have those people out there on the front lines to really just go ahead and know how to point people in the right direction and just have the passion for that type of work. So thank you.
My name is Monica Jackson, and I am 27 years old, and I'm just looking for some information so I can get better employment and better opportunities for me and my daughter. I have a 6-month-old, and I'm just trying to better myself so I can be able to financially take care of my daughter.
Thank you, Monica, for sharing that. Yes, definitely pick up on a few different type of tips in order to find that next employment opportunity for you. If you stay throughout the whole entire presentation, you will have the opportunity to register. At the end, there's going to be a slide with our flyer on there. And at the end, if you register for the series, we'll be able to send you an email that will include the recording from today's session and also a few other resources to kind of help you pinpoint where you should go or just give you some type of direction. So if you register at the end, I believe it's the last slide, there should be a tiny URL link. And so if you go through that and register, you'll be able to get some resources after this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So let's get right into this presentation, shall we, good people? Okay, so basically, like I said at the very beginning, there are a lot of stats out there that tell us, people aren't looking for jobs or, there's so many opportunities out there, but people just don't want them. And that is not true. Okay. There are a lot of people finding jobs and that we do and don't hear about in the news. In fact, even in a recession, U.S. employers made over 50 million hires. So that just goes to show you there that employers are looking for people to not only gain employment and to push their missions, but also to set up that person for financial success, right? So then they can take care of their family, so they can move on to their next goals. Maybe they're trying to get back in school or, start their own business. So whatever the case may be that someone looks for employment, companies are out there looking for those people. And in those 50 million openings, half of them were visible jobs. So visible jobs are basically jobs that you can find anywhere. So you can find those on the internet, job search engines, things that you hear about. So news, catalogs, basically media outlets. So those will be the visible jobs, right? And the other half of those are hidden jobs. And those are the jobs that may be a little bit harder to find. Those are the jobs that we basically get through networking and reaching out directly to employers. So those jobs sometimes are not accessible because you can't find them on the internet, or they're just kind of hard to get into because you don't know that they're out there, right? And so a lot of that work may be just going straight to the employer's website and taking a look at the listings. And even if there's not a position on there that you feel that you could fit into, and you feel like you don't maybe have the transferable skills, and we talked about that last week. Again, if you do want information from this session, and also we're going to throw in the last session, which we talked about transferable skills, make sure that you register and we'll get you the recording for that session as well. And again, so if you see a job posting on an employer's website and you say, hey, I don't think that that's something that I could do, you can do it. You just have to take the time, write those skills down, take a look at your resume, and tap into that and say, hey, I've done this, so I can do that. And call that employer to see, hey, I see a few job listings on here, but these are the skills I have. Do you have a position open for this? And you never know. It could be a yes, it could be a no, but those hidden jobs are not as easily accessible, but aren't unattainable. So here's another look at the stats, and this information was just released June 4th. So this is very current, very up to date. So these are the unemployment rates for the nation, and then Detroit and surrounding counties around Detroit. So in the United States, let me point out that the light blue line is from the information from April of last year, and then April of this year in 2021 is the navy blue line. So if you can tell, last year unemployment rates, 27%, 29%, 14% in the United States, but in the Detroit area, it's 24%, right? Oakland County, 19.9%. So the unemployment was very high. And of course, we can definitely count on the pandemic being the number one reason for that. A lot of people lost their jobs, laid off, furloughed. So it made it very hard for people to keep and obtain steady employment. But if you look at the unemployment rates for this year, there's actually been a lot of work, a lot of progress. The United States has gone down almost 9%. So we're at a 5.7. Detroit, 3.7. That's like what, triple, more than triple percentages down from last year. St. Clair Shores, 3.6%, where last year at this time it was 29.5. So that information is very, very crucial to the topic that we're talking about, because again, a lot of stuff that we've read on the news that people are really looking for jobs, or the current state of the market is in such a place that people really don't know where to go, which that may be true. But again, there are some employers out there, and there are some eager job seekers that are out there working together to get people in their companies and moving forward. And this chart right here just gives the employment changes by industry sector, So again, if you look at the red line, that's from last year, 2020, and then the blue line is from this year. And again, this information was released 6 days ago, so it's very current, by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, so very reliable information. You can see by employment sector, let's go with trade, transportation, and utilities. Last year, they were at a 3.4 percentage of employment changes. Now they're gone down to a 2.6. But if you can see from last year versus this year, even though the unemployment rate unemployment rate was so high, they've almost for every sector even met or have doubled the employment changes in each industry sector. So even though unemployment rates were super high last year, you can tell by this year in almost every non-employment industry sector that they've done some work to getting people back into those fields. So how do I find the job for me? That's the big question. Where do I look? Where do I go? How do I find it? That's what we're here to talk about. So finding jobs through news media outlets is the go-to, don't be afraid of the old-fashioned way, right? Hardly anyone, I believe, picks up a newspaper. If you do, that's cool. And if you do that, that's really, what is that? It's a time sector. Like, you pick up a newspaper. Some people don't. They do have a lot of online newspapers, so we have the option to carry it around with us in our pocket. And a lot of people forget that that's how a lot of people found jobs. You go to your newspaper, look and see which employers are listed in there. Actually watching the news, we hear so much in the news that is informative in one way, and then not so uplifting in other ways. But in almost every major news station or news outlet, they have a section where they talk about employment opportunities. So there are local 5 o'clock news or 7 o'clock news, or I watch the news. You can tell how often I watch the news. I'm like 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock. You can catch your news and at your favorite or preferred news station and see and watch their section that they talk about employment opportunities. And you can go on their website. So if you miss the news during whatever time that they have their sections or their times where they talk about that, you can go on their online website and they will have every listing they spoke on, and you can pull it up and go straight to the employer's website from there. Another way to find that job is actually going to the employer's website and doing walk-ins, right? So I remember my first job, I wanted to do everything fun. So Cold Stone and Starbucks at the time, and I forgot the other how. I think I wanted to work at Foot Locker, So what I would do is just go into the store, hey, are you guys hiring? And that kind of taps into those hidden jobs, right? Where some of those employers, they do list them. They do list opportunities, but a lot of them don't. So just going into those businesses, especially small businesses, right, that may not have those extra resources or accessibility to a big major job engine communication, or may not have that relationship, I should say, with maybe a news station or something like that can actually put their job postings out there. But go and check into those small businesses, and most of the times they may not have websites, so actually walk in, and you never know what type of job they do have or they do offer. I believe now, every time I go somewhere, at least, there's always a now hiring sign with bonuses for pay incentives, just to get people in there right now. So try just walking, down the street when you take your daily walk, or if you're going shopping or something, maybe going around the corner to another store just to look and see if there are signs out there. But the major way that people find jobs are job engines, so the Indeed, the ZipRecruiters, the LinkedIn's. Those are ways that we are finding jobs in the most common way, most easily accessible. It's almost nothing just to pull out your phone or your computer or laptop and just type in, Indeed, and make your account. You can even link it up to your Google or your Yahoo or whatever existing email address that you have. So it makes it way easier. And you can just search pretty much anything. Almost pretty much anything will come up as far as listings that they have out there. So we have a few examples. So I just did a random search for the Flint area just to see what would come up, right? So I just looked up full-time, no experience, and within a 25-mile radius. And so if you look right here, it is one out of 430 jobs that are listed here. So you've got a great number of jobs, full-time, no experience, and of course you can add pay rate in there, desired pay rate that you would like, part-time, full benefits, whatever you're looking for, you can type it, of course, in the search bar. You can even put an industry sector. So hospitality, manufacturing, engineer, anything, you can pull that up and they will give you results. But with the world looking like it does today, employment looks completely different. You know, most of us are at home. If you can see my beautiful wall of happiness, you know, I'm at home right now. So work looks different, right? And so if you actually take that same search, right, in a lot of search engines, they do have a remote button now, whereas that was never like an option before. I don't believe if you were to search for and looking for a job that they even had a remote option. I know that there are remote jobs out there, but they did not have that advertised so easily. But if I just did the same search, right? Full-time, no experience in the Flint area, 25 miles, and click remote, not as many jobs will come up, but 68 jobs do, right? So you still have that accessibility to the employment opportunities out there that you could go for. And I would even go as far to say, like I said before, looking up some of these companies and, you know, what if it's FedEx or something, or I'll go back to this one, it's the ABA behavioral technician, and it's for Gateway Pediatric Therapy. Call Gateway Pediatric Therapy, right? And say, hey, you know, I don't really, you know, have too much experience on what type of probable candidate are you looking for, right? And basically kind of asking those interview questions or interview questions over the phone, not only will that give you a little bit more leverage than the typical person who just fill out the resume on Indeed and submit it, but also you get the opportunity to actually say, you know, hey, you know, I see this out there, and access to it, I've called, and what other opportunities do you have? I might not feel I have the skills for this, but I've had experience in this and experience in that. Do you all have positions at your company that you're looking for someone who's had experience within this? Or, you know, I didn't really see a posting for this, but this is something that I've had experience in. You know, are you looking for a person who has this type of background? So again, having that leverage or leeway over the just the typical job seeker who's just filling out an application. It's important, and I think the most detrimental is just picking up that phone. I mentioned it quite a few times, and calling these employers. Cold calls, if you've ever done them, are not fun at times. It can be quite uncomfortable because, again, you never know what the person's going to say. And if you're really looking for opportunity, you really don't want to get a no. But understand that you are going to get a few no's. And to count those no's in your process, right? Because just for as many no's as you may get just one or two yeses, but you never know where those yeses might lead, right? So just picking up the phone and giving an employer a call. Try going on, even though I didn't list it on here, Facebook. There's so much stuff on Facebook that you can find that has nothing to do with nothing. I'm very sure you can go on Facebook and find a job. So going on Facebook, looking up different companies, giving them a call, seeing what's out there. Like I said, you never know, and to have that or remove that reluctance to actually picking up the phone to calling people will really step you out of that category of just a typical, like I said, job seeker who's just looking for something and submitting an application, not really making a personal connection with that employer before the employment process starts. So just as an additional resource, I would like to stress or put out there that we are a Next Job partner. And what Next Job is basically a overall great employment tool for those who are seeking employment. So they have a resume builder, builder application on there. They have a really good US job board where you can search for jobs. They have career personality assessments on there. They actually have a really cool interview tool where you can actually practice your interview and record yourself like you would, record yourself on a phone, but you actually can go into Next Job, record yourself and ask yourself those interview questions and practice it and, get comfortable with it would feel like to actually be sitting across from an employer. So we are a Next Job partner. So if you look here on the flyer, and again, if you want a copy of this recording, and it will give you, we will also give you additional resources again from the presentation last week and this one, of course. There is an access code on this flyer. So if you just register for Next Job, making sure that you signed up with our access code, you'll be able to tap into all these great resources. And this is conclusion of this week's topic of searching for your next job. Next week, we're going to be talking about tips and tricks to enhance your interview skills. So you check us out next Thursday, June 17th at 5:30. And we are having employment sessions all Thursdays of this month. So every Thursday at 5:30 for our Job Club series, we will be having online webinars where we're talking about interview skills. The first session was on building your resume, so transferable skills, how to list those. This week, we're talking about how to search for that job. So next week, we're going to be talking about those different tips and words of and pieces of advice to kind of go into your next interview very confident. And at the bottom where it says register here, if you would like a copy or a recording of this session and last week's, make sure you register so we have your information so we can send that out to you all. Or take a picture. And that's